Hi guys, it's me, Tsukuyama again. As you might already see, this video I'm talking about the main or major issues that I discovered about the metaskill gyms. And sadly, if GGG take no efforts about this or fix those issues, we might not able to enjoy the next league. It is not due to some skills like the comet, which is have the highest single target damage, and GGG might nerf the comet, but it's basically about how the meta skill gems currently work in the game. Even if GGG nerf like the sparks or the comets, and just if they leave the meta skill gems work as they are now currently, next league will end on day 1. The skill slotted or triggered by meta skill no longer grant energy, which was applied from the 0.1.1 patch. Sadly, is not the cure. Instead, we need, or GGG should, add more restrictions or something like an internal cooldown and disable this meta skill queuing to get this issue solved. So let's just quickly check some videos about the things I'm talking about to get you a feel. This is a Chinese video what I just come across when I was simply searching about new inspirations about how to make our build better. And if you already have tried the Spark variant with the full Spark, like the Willow's guide, you might already know it is actually heavily depends on how much charges you got, and the more charges you got, the slower you're casting actually. Well, the slower you got hurt yourself and the slower you're looping. But let's just check this guy, how fast he's hitting himself. It is way faster than it should be usually. So like this. He's feeling about like he is casting like 6 times per second or even more. So it is by no means the correct the speed we are getting. Let's just check how it usually work in game. So this is how fast it should usually cast if we're using no support tools or something like the third-party tools. And I just made some more search and found this guy. This guy is doing similar things, but with even more self-damaging cost. And he's going to show us about the trick he's doing. So it's calculating the perfect timing. And this is how he's doing with setup. And this is how people doing with unlimited fire and the firepower and the skills abusing the feature or the meta skill behavior I'm going to talking about. Even further, you guys thought the comet per second builds with using like cast on ignite instead. No, it's not. Let me just show you this video. I've already turned the speed down to 0.5, or means I slowed it down. Let's just see how fast. Well, so first, this video was published on 2025. February the 16th of February, so it's brand new. It's still working after the patch. I'm going to talking about how this guy is doing. He has a dedicated guide, and also in Chinese. If you guys interested, I will link it in the description, and also going to give you a brief introduction about what he has done. So let's just check. This is tier 4 breach boss. This. And he first need to get some initial damage to get his trigger the meta skill features, and now he's trying more and more and more. You see, more and more comets. It's now infinite loop now. Tier 2, I mean. So this guy has also another video here where he's doing with a bit better build setup, which according to his description dealing like 50k damage per hit. And let's just check how fast he's killing the boss. Again, it's only 0.5 speed. So you got the feel. And how these are possible. And also check this guide, which made some tweaking, and that's working.
Necessary, as these mobs, even at their highest level of 82,
how insane speed he's doing. These are currently not bugs, except those cheating macros. These are currently not bugs, but I don't think this should be allowed, or this is intended, because it will simply kill the next league. So let's just come back to get back to the and shortly, if we do the same setup as they do, and we try to spam it, let me just show you how it will work if we do the same setup. So I put a little bit more, and you check. I'm killing myself. Okay, I killed myself. And this is what happens if we spam without help from macro. In this case, in their case. This video, however, showcases another trick that you might able to sustain the cost and get it cast like infinity high speed, but it is still limited by the Q, because he's only using two spells, and he cannot Q very long. Okay, let's just get back to the video, to the things I'm going to talk about. First things first, let's just have a short review about how our Bearer Invocation loop work. So we hurt ourselves and get initial energy. In our case, with the Duocaster, you usually get over 80%. And then we cast it ourselves, trigger it manually to cast the spells slotted into it. And these spells consume mana, or the generate infinite flames, which fills up our infinite flame gauge. And once it got filled up with a pyromantic pack, it deals damage to our energy shield. And this damage to the energy shield will then generate energy to our Bearer Invocation. And then if we got enough energy generated, we can cast the next spell. So it is basically then infinite loop. But it does have a speed. And in addition, the damage dealt to our energy shield got recouped to life regen, and these life regen are used to sustain our demon form. However, we still need to get some fix to get to cover our energy shield lost due to each loop. So we use our life flask and combine it with eternal youth passive node. Then it can heal our shield. So we got the loop working. If you followed the build guides and understand all the things, you might already know how it works. So again, let's just take a quick look about the usual normal loop of a long cast sequence like a Berry invocation with Spark. It will cast 7 sparks, so I can hit it. Just check how my Infinite Flame gauge work. You see, it is tack, 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 tack to get full. Not like the cast on when damage taken in PoE1, which is filled up almost immediately, or got your consumed your mana almost immediately. Here we can see it actually have a sequence. Okay, so let's just get back. So why this happens? So given I have the Infinite Flame gauge 1062, whenever I trigger the Berry invocation, it takes about 66 milliseconds to cast the first spells. It will just loop until the charges got done, loop over all the skills it has slotted in it until all the charges are released. So I generate 183. How I know that? Let's just make a quick check. It is 183. So generate 183 infinite flames, and after another 66 milliseconds, the second comet sparks got released, and it consumes another 183, so we got 366, and go on. You might already notice at the 6th spark, it already filled up my infinite flame, but it's not the case. Actually, if you check it how I cast it, the 7th filled up my the 7th flame will fill up my 7th spark will fill up my gauge. Why this happens? It is because the Pyromantic Park causes us lose 10% of infinite flame per second if none was gained in the past 2 seconds. And how strangely, the infinite flame gained via meta skills are not counted as infinite flame gained actually. So we are permanently losing our infinite flames. So it should trigger the self-damage here, but it's not. In the real case, we are losing approximately 7 point infinite flame per 66 milliseconds. So in real case, it goes 76, and all the time here is not triggering, and here is triggering my self-damage. And then we got our overflow, and so we can trigger the next Pyromantic Pact again. So in the better case, or in ideal case, what we called the dual caster or the simplified variant of our infinite flame Berry invocation infinite list, we are doing this loop. In the balanced case or spammable case, we cast it once. At the end, we are able to trigger it again by simply holding up our button. And after that, we are going to cast it again and again. And each costs approximately 533 milliseconds. However, if we do something like this, I swap it out and slot this guy onto it. Sorry, this one. So it cost me like 266 infinite flames per second per cast, and let's just spam it again. So you see I'm casting faster and faster and faster until I kill myself. And what happens here? Let's just get back to our PowerPoint slide. By the way, the slide will be provided to be will be shared to download in the description once this video got published. So we got our barrier invocation, we got 66 milliseconds, we released the first spark, and then the second spark, third spark, fourth spark, and the fifth spark. It already filled up our infinite flame gauge, so we are able to cast the next barrier invocation. However, the rest two are going to be still casted regardless that we started a new sequence. And this is how it looks like. The unbalanced or suicide if spam, we casted the first one, and then we can cast the second one. And just after 5 spells, like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it actually should be here, but never mind. And it got the next cast, the next cast, the next cast, the next cast, the next cast. So this is how it happens, and this is why it goes faster and faster and faster. If we can sustain long enough, you will see the almost at the same time, same millisecond, you can cast like infinite numbers of the barrier invocations. So this is I call the infinite meta skill queuing with 0 internal cooldown. This is the case why it happens. And what people are doing is using macro to control the speed, saying if it goes infinite, then use a macro to hit the perfect timing. Like I wish it took for my flask recovery, I can only sustain like 6 BI loops per second. Then I just calculate it and find the perfect loop, perfect timing for 6 casts, and make let the macro do the work. So let's just make get a quick review about how let's just get a quick overview about how the cast on ignite loop after patch or after nerf works. This is created by Zymov. Credit on him, and I link also his Bilibili site so that you guys can use like translators or something if you guys really interested in how the build work in more detail and all the gears that he listed. It's a very good content creator, but in my opinion, both his work and my work have some weakness and are able to cause some unintended behavior. So basically, because the spell slotted in the meta skills no longer grant energy, we have to make some cast it ourselves to trigger ignite. So the flammability plus burning inscription to create burning ground, and use spell cascade to make a huge area, means simply we got a very large area and ignites enemy immediately. However, these were not reapplied as long as enemy is already ignited. So the first things we do is a cast on ignite, slotted with multiple contagions. Sorry for my pronunciation. Which is a level 1 chaos spell, and combined it with drain alignments. I know in-game it's currently suggests that drain alignment does not work on contagions. However, it actually works. So drain alignments will absorb the ignite on the enemy to boost the damage. Actually, here is only to allow the apply of ignite, reapply the ignite to generate to create the loop. So it simply means remove ignite immediately and multiple times to allow ignite and create infinite loop to gain. It is self-feeding now, as long as you got the very first trigger on the ignite, and it will cause itself to loop faster and faster thanks to the zero internal CD cooldown and infinite queue of meta skills. And these energy are also generated because actually currently if you slot multiple gems meta skills of the same skill, they share the energy gain. So now here we use a second cast on ignite and combine it with the comet, and now use the zero internal CD infinite mana skill queuing behavior we currently have. We'll create simply hundreds of comets per second. If you guys checked my old video or check it yourself, you know how fast we kill the tier 4 bridge map boss, and you know how high the DPH of your comet were. It usually goes over 500k or 600k, but in his setup, as he described in his video, it is maximum 50,000k. So it's roughly 12 times less damage than we do, and the speed was almost the same, but or his is even faster. So you know how many comets he's shining. We are doing like approximately 10 comets per second, just for your information. So he's doing at least 100, if not 200. So this amount of comets cast consumes huge amount of the mana, and how he solves it. I mean, if you looked about at the cast on ignite loop before the patch, you know the trick. Basically, it uses an elemental invocations, combined it with the Ember Fusilade, which is fast to cast, and consumes also almost 0 mana. However, if it combines with the Evocated efficiency, which gives you 3% of mana whenever you invoke a spell, and we were able to invoke a huge amount, and combine this with the 0 internal CD infinite meta skill queuing, what we get is a then infinite mana regen to sustain the comet cast. And this is what you see from the video. So this is why I say the infinite meta skill queuing with 0 internal cooldown is OP. And why it should not be okay. Because the 0 ICD or internal CD meta skill queuing can be simply used to boost the DPS without much effort. Things like macro users with a barrier invocation loop, as you see here. This guy is using trash gear. I just tell you, he's using trash gear. And see how fast he's killing the tier 4 simulacrum. Or no, the tier 4, the tier 18 map, I think he's doing. It is nothing but the macro doing the work. So it means you no longer need to balance your mana cost and your maximum infernal flame, what we always doing with the sheet, or what I told you, in order to able to spam. People using macro will just use the perfect to calculate the perfect timing and set up their macros, and that's almost there. They can pull like tons of huge amount of DPS. Where if we are doing the similar things, we have only to we could only tap cast at a slow speed, and a human will never able to cast it precisely in millisecond level precisely. So it is not possible for us, the normal players. And the cast on ignite loop or any other trigger loop that might be discovered in the future requires almost trash gears, because it is only about the energy gain and mana sustain. So if people are able to combine it with the 0 infinite flame infinitely build, just think about how fast you can cast it again. However, for the cast on ignite loop, because it is not usually not using the spark, or spark is usually used to with high-end gears, it does reduce the survivability massively. Unlike the Bear Invocation, which has simply hundreds of sparks, so they do not bother simply to use electrified on the spark, so it can stun the enemies. And these two both have very high DPS potential and are able to dominate the tier 15 maps as soon as they finish the main campaign and enter the Atlas mapping, because they both have already huge amount of initial DPS and also very high DPS potential, because the second one is doing comet per second and the first one is doing 100 of sparks per second. And the queuing will make it possible to prevent loop from stopping, so it means even you kill yourself, your loop will still keep going as long as you can supply something, supply the energy, or you got mana recovered or the energy shield recovered. This we'll discuss in the next slide. And if in the future new gear, new skill gems, and other things are added, or new interactions and mechanisms are found to supply the energy shield region, or the mana region, so it can sustain the cost, the zero internal CD cooldown queuing will crash the server again, just like they do before the 0.1.1 patch. So if you still don't got the clue how destructive this behavior could be, let's just make a quick demonstration about how OP the cute meta skills are doing. So if you still don't understand why this is so OP, let me just quickly showcase you how fast how the cute and the prevent cast from stopping due to the cute meta skills works in the real case. First things first, we know that the recoup is the damage. We are using recoup as a tool to help us estimate the cast speed. So we know the recoup is the damage taken from a hit is recouped to amount of life or mana, whatever, of recovery, which will give then slowly in the next 8 seconds. So basically, it is like the maximum. If we constantly get hit by the monster or some damage source, the maximum or total life recoup we can achieve is approximately the damage taken per second multiplied the percentage of damage recouped to life or energy shield or mana multiplied with 8, because it's 8 seconds. Every second we can recoup that much. So, and if we resort it in our use, which is self-damage, which it simply means the recouped life from one single self-damage multiplied with times of self-damage per second multiplied with 8. So in the extreme case, if we call self-damage per single spell cast, then the spells cast per second is approximately equal to total life recoup divided by 8 times recouped life from one self-damaging. So what I'm going to do now is that I use a capacitor. So in the extreme case, I can get a Q with 12 hypothermias in it, and I'm choosing the hypothermia because it has the same characteristic as the spark in the meta skills, as its cast time is 0.7 seconds, which is same to the spark, and but it can consume tons of mana. In this case, I put already the magnified effect, spell echo, and code mastery. So one single hypothermia cast will cost me consume me 1153 infinite flame. Where even with this stuff, I got only 1122, meaning it is enough to cause the self damage per cast. So as I said, it is approximately the recope life from one self damaging multiplied with time of self damage per second multiplied with 8. So we first estimate how many casts we are doing now. How many life regen we got from a single self-damaging. Let's just do it. So I have 95.4. So it's 95.4. I've already prepared the sheet here. It's just doing this calculation here. So I'm causing self-damage per every once cast. Let's just check approximately how fast we are cast. Now I'll start to spam or simply hold this skill button, and you will see that the total life recovery per second increases, and at some time it starts to spring around a value, and that is how we roughly reach the maximum total life recap. So let's just start. You see, even I already have 0 shield and 0 fire life, I'm still able to cast. It is because the queuing effect. And after stabilized, I'm able to get 33,283. So it is roughly 44 times or 43 times casts per second. Just consider about it how ridiculous this is if you use it to cast any kind of spells. Which boss or which monster can survive at this high rate of spell casting? And I can show you if I can supply a little bit more, so it is not less cute meta skills are interrupted, but simply get this point, the Glaze Flash, because it gives me 3% of damage taken recouped as life, mana, and energy shield, which means I can get a bit more energy shield recouped. Let's just do it. So, hurt ourselves once. It is 100, very good number. And yes, let's just wait until it disappears. And now let's just start casting. You see I'm gaining way more recouped regen than before. So at the end we got 41,100. So it's 41100, and I roughly got 8 casts more. So if I wish, I can reduce my energy shield so I take less damage, and therefore my recovery will sustain longer to get even more casts per second. It is literally infinite if I'm good. I can fix the cost, and that is why I say this behavior should be reworked instead of the GGG simply saying, yeah, we just simply nerf it by skills slotted and triggered by meta skill that won't give you any energy, because this kills the interactions but not fix the real issue. So guys, if you have the same feel like I do, please help spread this video and make GGG aware of what they need to do, or aware of the real issue with current meta skill systems. Thank you for watching. Wish you enjoy the rest of the league, and I'll see you in the next video. And I'll prepare. I'm trying to go make more builds in the coming league. Bye bye.